So day 111. Day 111. Date 30th July 2024. Time is this. So let me change the rename 110111. So yesterday we have covered the theory behind the HTTP. Let's cd desktop, cd day 110, cd HTTP app, nvm use 18, and npm run dev. So yesterday we talked about the HTTP, what exactly HTTP is, how HTTP is working, right? A theory behind the HTTP, request response, all those things we have covered yesterday. Now today we will write the code for it, a theory for it. Sorry, we will implement it in the React. So app.jsx, let's remove everything. Main.jsx, removed the app.css, we don't need it. Index.css, we don't need it. This thing, app.jsx, app.css, and we don't need all these things. Even we don't need the state. Now yesterday we have seen a dummy server. Whenever you learn the backend, you will write this server on your own. But presently we are going to use this fake server, a dummy server, right? And there is something called as the fetch, which is the JavaScript functionality. Fetch is coming from the JavaScript. It has nothing to do with the React. So I told you yesterday, if you wanna call a REST, or if you wanna call the HTTP related APIs, you will need the HTTP client. And yesterday we discussed that in the browser, HTTP client is built in. You don't need to worry about it. And this server is HTTP server. If you will see that how exactly we would be doing. But if you go here just below, if you can see 100 posts, so it is returning a array of the JavaScript objects. Can you see? This is an array of what? JavaScript object. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to show these things. So this is the post, means people are going, this user is going to make this post. User is going to make this post, right? Can you see user ID 1, user ID 1? There are multiple users, user ID 2, user ID 2, user ID 3, like that. So multiple users are making a post on the social media. These are nothing but what these posts are. Now I wanted to show these things in one list. So first thing, we need to fetch this data. So this is written by the HTTP server. This is written by the URL is this /posts http jsonplaceholder.com typecode.com /posts. It will give you these posts. Now I want to show these things in my React app. So first thing, where shall I call this API? I want to fetch the data. You can fetch it using two ways. By default, fetch API from the JavaScript. I'm again saying these are the JavaScript API. You need use effect. You need what? Use effect. And only in the beginning. Dependency list is empty, which means that it would be getting called only in the beginning, once only. Now fetch, here I can write, and the URL, this URL, sorry, it should be in the form of string dot then. Can you tell me what do you mean by this dot then? Hello? What do you mean by this dot then? What would be the return type of fetch? If you have practiced JavaScript, one more thing you can write, catch e console.log. What is this? What I have written over here? Can you please tell me? And then this also response arrow.
For error handling.
But what is this you called? What is this you called? Whole thing. We have studied in the JavaScript.
Is in callback function promise.
Yeah, correct. Fetch is going to return you a promise. Fetch is going to return the promise. Okay. Then means whenever promise gets successfully executed, you would be getting then. So let's run this code and see what happens. Use effect. We have consoled it. Localhost 5173. Open the inspector console. Can you see? You get the response object and see whole thing. Can you see? Response would be having its own body. Response would be having its own headers. Response would be having the status. Right? We discussed yesterday status. This is a very important section of this course. Status. These many status codes are there. So here if you see body, every response would be having a body. That's what we discussed over here. If you see body, the response would be having the headers and the body. Same thing over here. These are the headers. A lot of headers are there. And the body. And this is the URL. If you want to see the request, what request we have made, go to the network tab. Can you see here? There is a network tab. And here, just refresh it. Yeah. And if you see here, localhost, this one thing. And can you see posts? See here, posts 200. Status code is 200. Type is of fetch. If you click over here, you'll get the details. Can you see headers? This is the request. This is what? The request. So these are the headers. So this is the URL. It's a general. This is the URL. You are getting this, and request method is get. Get is the request method. And if you see the request headers, these many are the request headers. Right? There is no body. It's a get request. Get means what? Getting something from the server. So you don't need to specify it explicitly. If it is a get, you don't need to specify it. If it is a get, you don't need to specify it. But if you want to make a post request, means saving something on the server, posting something on the server. Presently, this is a get. So here, if you see, here you are getting something. If you go to the console, you are getting response object. But where is this JSON array? So if you hit this thing over here, it returns you the JSON array. JavaScript object notation and the array of object. This is object, this is object, and outside this is the array. So where is that? So technically this is the response, and we need to fetch the body. Sorry. Then here we can say body. Here, so from here we can say response dot JSON. So it will give you the actual body. And if you console.log body, And can you see now here you will get the 100 array of the object. If you see here, this is an array of the object. So whatever you get in the browser over here, same thing you are getting in the console, right? 100 objects you are getting. Here also these are the 100 objects, which means that you have fetched the JSON from server to your React app. Okay, you have fetched this JSON from the server to the React app. So here you get the array. If you see, what is this? This is an array of the object. This is what? Can you see? Array of the object. So we can create the state posts set posts is equals to use state. Presently this is an empty array in the beginning, right? But here we can say set posts, not here actually. In here we can say set posts body, and here this is an array, so here we can say posts dot map a single post and we can create the separate divs. This is a bad idea actually. This is the bad idea actually. You need to create the function post, new component you need to create. And what post would be having? User ID, title, and the body. So post would be having these 4 things: user ID, title, body. User ID, post ID, title, and the body. And from here we can return a div. Here also we can have a div. And into that first paragraph we can say title. You can use you can add tailwind also, and the body. Here we can say style, color gray. Okay, and I will just paragraph it. I will not make the alignment. Here we can say user ID, user ID, and the ID. So here we can create the post and we can pass the post object over here as a props. These are the props and we are passing the props. And if you see here, let's add one horizontal rule. See, this is the title, this is the body, this is the user ID and other thing. Can you see? This is in your React app. You fetch the data from the server and you have shown it 100. Can you see here? 100 different posts, 100 different posts. So here we can say paragraph ID, like this. See here, 1, and this is from, if you don't want this thing, here we can add user ID. From this user, this post is there. From this user, this post is there. This is the title and this is the actual post. Can you see that? So here we have fetch the data from this server. This server have been written by, we don't know who have been written this server. This server, we don't know who have exactly written this server, but this is a freely available. You may write your own server also. You may write own server also. So that we are going to learn in the Node.js, how exactly we would be writing our own server. That is the part of the Node.js. Any question? Any questions, team?
No, sir.
Fetch. Now, you can save the data also on the server. You can save the data also on the server. Remember that use effect we have used. Use effect. I hope you remember what is the use effect exactly. Now here I will have a div div now if you see the documentation of this server, how do you post the data? Get method, you can get a single post also, you can get comments on the post also, right? You can get post by the post id also. Now can you see the post? So if you want to save the data to the server, if you want to save the data, so posts, routes, get post, /post, just click on the guide, creating a resource. See, can you see whole code they have given? It's a fetch API only. Header we need to set, and this and this. So this body we need to pass. We need to pass title, body, and the user ID. For that, for that, we need to create a form. Form. Here input type. Input type text or number. Placeholder, we can say user ID. This is for which user? Input type text. Here we can say body, and here you can say, sorry, here we can say title, body, and there is input type button, value, post, or save, you can say, on submit, this would be the event, and here we can say const handle submit. Okay, const handle submit. There is an event. This would be the event. So first thing we would be doing e dot prevent default. E dot prevent default. Correct? And then simply we need to call this thing over here. You can write the validations also. So first you can check this has been entered or not. Few things are missing. Here we can say name and user ID. If you keep these keys and this control name as same, that would be really easy for you. Otherwise it is not necessary, but it would be easy. Body, sorry, this is a title. If you see here, whenever you make a request, you need to set the method, you need to set the body, and you need to set the headers. That's what we have seen yesterday, right? Body, placeholder body, and name body. And when you click on the save, this call would be made and new post would be done. Actually this is a bad idea. Actually this is a writing on, well, presently this is a okay. But this can be written in use effect also. We can write a separate use effect, and inside this we can write. Now if you see in the beginning, user ID, this and this. So console.log JSON we have printed in the console. So let's try to make 12, title ABC, and body good photo. Save, just open the inspector, click on the save. Is there any error? Yeah, there is an error. Okay, each child should have a key prop. If you remember, you cannot do this thing directly. Key prop is equals to, we can say, post dot id. Let us refresh it. That error would be getting resolved. Try to remind the concept of key prop that we have studied. 12 ABC body, something like this. Go on the network tab, clear it, save it. Nothing is happening. Let's try to console.log. Handle clicked. In the console, this also not working. Oh, input type submit is missing. Input type should be submit. Can you see handle clicked? And see, if you want to make sure that you are getting a response from the server, can you see here you are making the post, and here you are getting 201. Can you see? URL is this, post 201 created. 201 what? Created. The post have been successfully saved on the server, right? But we need this data, whatever data we would be typing, that should come over here. So if you remember how to do that thing, if you go to the forms section, we already have written the form details, app.jsx. Can you see here? Handle. Yeah, so first we need to assign we need to have one variable const post set post is equals to use state. Here user ID undefined, then we can say title empty or undefined, and body undefined, right? So here we need to assign value is equals to post dot title, and this value is equals to post dot body. Then on change effect, if you see on change is equals to handle input change, handle input change. So if you see here, we have written two separate functions. Handle username change, I will just copy this code. Actually you don't need this two times. Can you say handle username change, handle password change? You have repeated the code, but because of this name, right, from this name we can get the details. So here we can say name colon value. So whatever is the name, remember that this name would be the key over here, key, and this thing, rest of the details are copied as it is, and this value. So on change, handle IP change, on change, handle IP change. See, multiple times you can use it. In here we have used the separate functions, handle username change, handle password change, but here it's not like that. Name colon value, and handle submit. Before submitting, handle clicked. Let's try to print this. Let's try to print it. Sorry, just a minute. Let's try to print the post object, which is available here, this post object, and set post. I want this name to be used over here. Just a minute. You just need the brackets around this, so it will refer to this name. and this value. Okay, now I will add user ID 100, title something like this, body something like this, and if you just save it, can you see user ID foo bar y foo bar? See here, undefined you are getting, that undefined you are getting from here. So post dot title, post dot body, here also value, post dot user ID, and on change to this guy also handle IP change, value value value. So still we are getting undefined over here. On change, on change, on change, on change, it must set post, and just keep it empty, don't add anything. User ID 1 2 3, user is not defined, can you see? Oh, got it, because of we have copy pasted and this user is not there, so here it should be post. Now it shall work. A component with changing controlled input is likely. Okay, now if you remember, I have removed this thing from here, so here we can say user ID here undefined, then title undefined, body undefined. That is actually good idea. 12, a component is changing an uncontrolled input to be controlled. If you remember, we have talked about controlled and uncontrolled. So post dot user ID, user ID, post dot user ID, name user ID, user ID, title body, or 120 username change. Here we can say title, this is title, body, this is post body. Save, can you see here 120, this is title, this is a post body, which means that whatever you typed over here, you got it. And then instead of this static thing, we can pass the post object, we can pass this post object. But in the beginning you are getting error anyways. Refresh it. If you start typing, can you see, just refresh it, a component is changing an uncontrolled input to be controlled. It is happening like this. Set the empty things over here, undefined, say -1. Now this see, there is no error. Presently we'll just keep it 0 by default, and here I can say 1. See, error have been removed. Title, this is title, body, something like this. Save it, and can you see, you are sending this to the server, and server is giving you back a response. See here. So this is the post. If you look at this fetch API, you are sending this configuration object, method post, body is nothing but this body, and the header. If you remember the yesterday's HTTP, it's a request and response model. One requests, client requests, and server response. It is the request and response model. One thing is requesting, that is a client, and one thing is responding, that is the server. Hello?
Sir, in output, that is the ID is 101, that is the server response.
So this response is coming from the server. Server is processing and adding ID to this object and giving you back. Any questions?
No, sir.
So let's call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow. I'll not rush. Now, you need to try the put and delete requests. So you need to read the documentation. And from the documentation, you will see how is the put request. Can you see updating resource is the put. Deleting, patching a resource is the patch. Forget about the patch right now. And deleting the request, delete. So this page is there, JSON placeholder, typecode.com/guide. Refer this guide. I am repeating myself. If you have revised the things that we have learnt in the foundations of HTML, CSS3 and JavaScript, this is just a framework. React is just a framework. It's all about 100% JavaScript. We are not doing any fancy thing over here, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
It's all about JavaScript. If you are good at JavaScript, you will understand these things easily. We didn't started the project yet, but it's a good time to start the project. So we completed the forms. We completed this thing. Well, after the router, actually we can complete it. So tomorrow I'm going to cover the third party library, this part. And presently we have used the foundational JavaScript thing. So this is a built-in available in a JavaScript. But tomorrow we are going to use third party library, Axios. So this is the topic, using third party libraries, Axios. We already have seen using the third. Oh, this is actually not a topic, right? So Tailwind we already have integrated. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So you know how to add the third party libraries in your project. So this thing is not there actually. I have forgotten that we have covered this Tailwind. We already have integrated the Tailwind. Tailwind is a third party library. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow we are going to use one more third party library, Axios. Right? And again one more third party library over here, that is the React router. That would be end of the React then. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Let's call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.